Welcome to BreakThru by TCI Solutions, the coaching podcast for life and leadership grounded in biblical truth. Our coaching conversations here will help you transform, cultivate, and innovate so you can lead with confidence and live with conviction. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cutchins.
What is BreakThru? In this first episode of BreakThru, I'm going to share a story of stepping off a platform and into an identity crisis, and how that whole season of life became a birthplace for new vision. You know, breakthrough doesn't come when we're hustling harder. It actually comes when we're willing to step back so God can move us forward. So let's start with a question. Where do you need to step back so that you can step forward? And that's the big idea of this first episode. Breakthrough doesn't come from hustling harder. It comes when you're willing to step back so God can move you forward. Now, I know you're accomplished. You're carrying a lot, and people see your strength. But if you've ever felt the weight of doing more while your soul is actually just craving to be more, just know you're not alone. And maybe you've gotten to that point of being overloaded and, given 120% with nothing left in the tank. Maybe you've been drifting, going through the motions without a sense of what the direction is, or perhaps a distraction has stolen your focus, or a dream that you've carried feels like it's slipping further and further away. We've all been there. And that's why breakthrough exists, and that's where breakthrough begins. I know this tension because I've lived it. In 2016, I was serving as a worship pastor in Austin, Texas, and on paper, it looked like success. A high-profile platform, influence, opportunities, many things that most people would consider to be a dream job. And at the same time, I had just published my first book, and I had just been accepted into the PhD program at Dallas Baptist University. And to make room for all of that growth and that season, I realized I needed to step off the stage and into a discipleship pastor role. I haven't been a musician for most of my life, all the way back to middle school. It was more than just a job change. It felt like an identity crisis, and maybe you felt that way too. In moments like that, one of the most powerful questions that you can ask yourself is, who do I sense myself becoming? And in seasons of transition, this is one of the most powerful questions that we can ask, and perhaps just not answer too quickly. Who do you sense yourself becoming? But maybe the deeper questions are these. Do you even like the person that you sense yourself becoming? Can you love the person the way God already loves that person you're becoming? Or am I still trying to be somebody that I used to be simply because I don't have the heart yet to love the person that I sense myself becoming? In every stage of life, I've seen this to be true in pastoring and coaching and even in parenting. And that's where breakthrough begins. And I'll be honest, it was awkward there for a while. After years of leading worship, suddenly I found myself standing in the pew with my family, and I didn't know what to do with my hands. I remember feeling like I needed to grab a guitar or a mic or something. And now it was just standing there. And for months, I wrestled with doubt and discouragement, wondering if I had made the right choice or a wrong turn in life. And then came an invitation in the middle of all that, a job offer, an opportunity to return to the worship pastor world on a big platform in a big city. And this invitation from the outside looked to be a perfect step back into where I had been and was missing. But Wendy and I prayed, and we both knew that it wasn't God's next step for me. And here's the beauty of it. That invitation wasn't actually wasted. It gave me a great chance to recommend someone else who was ready for that role. Looking back on it, I can see clearly that job for me wasn't really about advancement. It was an invitation to hustle instead of hear from God. And boy, am I glad that I listened. And saying no to that position actually positioned me for something greater. It was during that PhD season that the vision for TCI actually began to take shape. And just a year later, I actually stepped into a senior pastor role, the very thing that Wendy and I had been praying about for over 5 years. And here's what I learned. The biggest threat to your future isn't actually failure. It's the false comfort of staying who you used to be. Like that 30-year-old. It was the high school football star that's still trying to be that guy, or the leader clinging to a role that once really defined them. Here's the hard truth. We think backwards, but we live forward. And I see this all the time in churches and businesses and even in families. We spend Some of our best time and energy preparing for the past to return. It's like waiting and getting ready just in case the 1990s come back around. But don't you know that God's always doing something new? Isaiah 43:19 comes to mind. This is where God says, "See, I'm doing a new thing. See it. Now it springs up. Now it springs up," it says. And then the question, do you not perceive it? Breakthrough only comes when you're willing to step back so that you can step forward. And one of the lessons I learned in that awkward season is this: you can't honor the past without living in it. My past in worship ministry and a musician wasn't wasted. It actually prepared me for what was next, but I couldn't stay there. It's like driving a car. The rearview mirror in a car is important, but it's the windshield that's much bigger, and that's for a reason. In life, you can glance back, and you should look in that rearview mirror from time to time, but you were created to gaze forward. It was Helen Keller that once said, "The only worse thing than being blind is being able to see, but having no vision." So why does this matter? Because if you never step back and pull back a little bit, the cost will be higher than you think. For some, it will be your health. For others, it could be your family. And for many leaders, it's going to be your calling if you don't stay back. There's an old saying, you can take your Sabbath or your Sabbath will take you. Without margin, leaders break. Even the strongest leaders will break without the right type of margin and spaces in their life. And with margin, leaders can actually build. See, hustle steals clarity, but rest restores vision. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." But let's be honest, some of us live like God actually said, "Be busy and know that I am God." But that's not what he said. He designed us for alignment, not exhaustion. And here's what's at stake. If you keep hustling harder, it won't just cost you, it'll cost the people that you love, the teams that you lead. But when you're able to step back and prepare for God to move you forward, you don't just move forward yourself, you bring the people who matter most with you. That's how breakthrough actually becomes legacy. The right people, the right time, the right season. There are people on the other side of your messy middle who are counting on you to show up. The Bible says phrases like this, "For such a time as this." See, breakthrough isn't always blasting through walls. Sometimes it begins with a pause. It's about rhythm. It's about pressing forward, but also being willing to pull back from time to time. So what is breakthrough? Think of it in two ways. Number one, breakthrough is about those moments when you overcome barriers, learning to move through the challenge and not try to work around it. But what else is breakthrough? It's also breaking throughout the journey. Throughout the journey, allowing rest to serve as resistance to burnout. Stepping back so God can move you forward. Russell Eric Dobda said it this way: if you're looking for a breakthrough, you may just need to take a break. Breakthrough doesn't come from hustling harder. It comes when you're willing to step back so God can move you forward. So here's a simple TCI breakthrough solution for this week. TCI 3 Ps. Number one, pause. If you're running at 120%, let me encourage you to pause. If your calendar looks like a game of Tetris on expert mode, that's probably where you need to pause first. Second, pass. This episode is your free pass, to decline, to delegate, to delay some things. And now, when you do pass on some things, you shouldn't be surprised if there's some pushback that you get. That's normal. Nobody likes to hear the word no. So you might have to start the conversation with something like, "I've made a decision to pass on this." And remember, in order to say yes to the right things, you have to be willing to say no. And the third is presence. Where can you give your full attention without multitasking? I mean, you know how it goes. You sit down to work on the big project, and 5 minutes later, you're deep in an email about office snacks schedule or something. Presence means breaking that type of cycle and choosing to give your best energy and your full focus to what matters most. So let me leave you with this. Breakthrough doesn't come from hustling harder. It comes when you're willing to step back so God can move you forward. The 3 questions to carry with you this week is, number one, what vision is pulling you forward? And who do you sense yourself becoming? And where do you need to step back so that you can step forward? And if this episode spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Feel free to share it with someone who you may sense is running hard and needs the permission to pause. And if you're ready for support on your journey, feel free to visit tci.life to book a discovery call with either me or one of our team members. At TCI, we provide faith-based coaching, consulting, and pastoral counsel for people just like you. We have professional services that grow with you. And this is just the beginning. In the next episode, when clarity feels impossible, we'll talk about what to do when you feel overwhelmed and overextended and how margin is actually the antidote to burnout. I'm Dr. Stephen Cutchins, and this is your invitation to BreakThru by TCI Solutions.
Thank you for joining us for the BreakThru podcast. If today's coaching conversation inspired you, please like, subscribe, and share our channel. For more insights and encouragement, follow Dr. Stephen Cutchins on your favorite social media platforms. Until next time, keep leading with confidence and conviction.